Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Jeffrey. Being able to take a tool like Roam Research and customize the look of it with CSS themes or add functionality with JavaScript extensions is what takes it from being just a good tool to a great one. And the more that we can personalize it, the more attractive it is for us to use. So we're more likely to use it in the long term as well as consistently. So in this video, I'm going to cover the theme that I'm currently using as well as some of the JavaScript extensions that I currently have installed. Now, one note is that with the exception of the theme that I use, you will have to enable JavaScript for those extensions, which does give it access to your graph and computer. So if you are not comfortable with doing that, that's a decision that you have to make. So let's jump in with the first one. So let's start off with the custom CSS theme that I'm using for Roam, which I got from That's the Norm. And I'll put links down in the description below to all of the websites and extensions that I'm going to be navigating to. So if I just go to the website, I can copy his CSS code and then go back to my Roam graph and navigate to the Roam/CSS page. And when I'm here, I can create a code block, change the type to CSS, and all you have to do is just paste in the code that you got, and then that will change the look and feel of your Roam graph. So one of the extensions that I use is Smart Blocks, and I covered how I use this to generate my daily note template, and I'll include a link to the video here on the screen. But in order to install these next set of extensions, they're all going to be through using JavaScript. So Smart Blocks is available on the roamjs.com webpage. They have a whole host of different extensions that you can browse through. I'll cover the ones that I use the most. And for Smart Blocks, as well as the other ones, it's going to be the same process to install them. So you'll come to the website and you'll find the code here, which you can copy. Then going back to your Roam graph, you'll want to go to roam.js, or you can do it on really any page. You just have to nest it under this Roam.js heading. So I just like to keep them all on this one page so I know all the extensions that I have installed. So to install it, you'll want to do the curly brackets and then reference the Roam/JS page. And then nested underneath that is where you'll want to create your code block, where you'll paste the code that you got, and then you want to make sure that this is on JavaScript, which it is. Now, because you're going to be running JavaScript, this is where it'll ask you to confirm that you know what you're doing, so you would just have to click yes to enable this one. So I won't go into detail here about what I use this for. There's a lot of functionality with Smart Blocks that I'm just beginning to unlock through different workflows that I'm trying to set up. But if you want to see more, like I said, check out that daily notes template that I created. So the next extension that I use is Roam 42, and if I've barely scratched the surface with Smart Blocks, then I'm using Roam 42, the absolute minimum that I think you possibly could, but that's okay. You don't have to use 100% of the functionality of every tool and extension that you find. Find the bits and pieces that are going to work for your workflow and just use those. Don't try and cram everything that it can do just because it can do all these other things. So mainly what I use Roam 42 for is to convert the text on my graph to plain text so that I can more easily paste it between Roam and another program. So for example, when I'm editing my Weekly Pearl newsletter, I'll just go to my graph, my draft, and then I will head up to my Roam 42 converter, and I will take the text with no indentation. I will copy that to my clipboard so that I can head over to Grammarly, and then I can edit it there. So the next extension that I use is Query Tools, and this is one that Ev Chapman turned me on to, which really the only reason that I use it is to make my queries look a little bit better on my graph. So if I go to say an example query that I have for the seedling ideas that I use, that I covered in my incremental content creation video, which I'll include again a link to. This one just allows you to change this heading so that you don't see all this messy query that you have set up. If you nest underneath an alias, whatever you put here will become the heading for that query. So for example, I can change it. You might need to click on the query to reload what it looks like. But now it's just a lot neater and cleaner, and you can customize what your headings look like for your queries. Just a simple extension. It has more functionality, but again, this is mainly what I use it for. So the next extension that I use is a path highlighter, and I sometimes find with all the different bullets that are bullets within bullets within bullets, it can get sometimes confusing to understand which block is a part of which other block. But this one just adds a simple pink highlighting line so you can see the parent-child relationships between all of the blocks that you have within your graph. And the last extension that I have installed is called Weekly Notes. Now this one I have not played around with a whole lot, but it's something that I'm going to be using to build a weekly review into Roam Research, which you'll probably see more about in the future. But what it does is it creates a weekly page automatically and tags that weekly page at the top of every daily note page that that day belongs to. And so here you can see, here's the one for October 24th to 30th. And then this is where I can build in that weekly review, and it's all linked to the days that belong to that week. Thanks everyone for watching. That's how I have my Roam Research Graph currently customized. There's lots of different extensions and themes out there that you can play around with to really make it your own. Hopefully I was able to show you something here that you haven't seen before. And if you know of any cool extensions or tips or tricks or ways to customize, feel free to put them down in the comments below, and I will see you all next time. Add some functionality with JavaScript